probably document something about today. I have a piece of paper from this morning in my bedside cabinet. I have a few scribbles that I made when I was working this morning, and I have a clump of papers all together from scribbles from the day. So I got up at 7. I started working from home at 9. I intended to be about 11. It ended up being more than that, but some of that was a phone call with someone from work, and I wanted to leave for Ipswich earlier, but in the end I got there okay. I needed to go to Asda first and get some fidget toys. I was successful in doing that, and I got there a bit after the person, but still in good time for what I needed to do. They were going to be early, and they'd made me late anyway by speaking to me on the phone. I had much further to go, and I had to go to Asda, so it was all right. Then we did the thing, and that was the usual. Well, really the usual. I suppose it was a bit more intense than usual. And then the staff told me a load of stuff about their own. One of the staff about their own lives, and then there's loads of stuff amongst the staff. So it was like a heavy load. And then the person I was with talked a lot to me, but not in a heavy load really way. It was just talking, and took the time, and we just took time. It was good to catch up and everything and do stuff, but I didn't finish till about 5:45, because I can't even talk, 5:45 maybe. And I was going around my mum's, because I didn't get to my mum's until 6. That was in Diss. That's very nice. I got there, she wasn't there. I laid on the floor for a bit, fussed the cats. She's got an incredibly friendly cat, and she's got my cat, which is also a bit friendly. That was really nice. And we had some lovely food, lovely bean salad and fine tomatoes and salad leaves, and it was really scrumptious, and fruit and strawberries and vegan ice cream and a cup of tea, and I drank loads of water. I was so dehydrated. In the day I just had 2 bowls of fuel and some water. And then I was thinking, when I got back to the car after we'd had a walk and we'd talked and caught up, and it was quite late, I still would drive home. And I was thinking, if only there was a packet of biscuits, and even if there was a packet of work biscuits, I could just borrow them and replace them. But now I don't keep the work biscuits in the car, I keep them at the locations, and I don't usually borrow the work biscuits. You have to be really extenuating circumstances. And so anyway, then I looked in the bit where, I don't know what you call it, anyway, a compartment of the car, and there was half a packet of biscuits. It was incredible. And it was because I'd eaten loads of biscuits, but I thought, I really can't, or can I, eat an entire packet of, I don't know, what are they, those quite popular with vegans, what are they called? Oh, Biscoff. Yeah, so anyway, I left them in the car. I mean, that's so unusual. I'm not the kind of person that leaves half a packet of biscuits, but there they were. So I ate them, had another Huel, went to my mum's and ate food, and it was really good. Then we sat in the garden for a bit. We listened to, I put Japan on my phone. We went into the garden. She showed me all the different types of geraniums. And they weren't geraniums like I remember, like great big ones with veiny leaves. They were all kind of different colour tone leaves. Weren't really like that. The ones I remember, these were small and different colour pinks and purples, but spread everywhere. Really nice. So she's going to make me some cuttings. She had a nice white t-shirt on that was kind of heavy, good quality. We talked about sun protection, like how to ideally you stop the heat hitting the building, hitting the glass, so you put some, white sheet or some sort of white awning or something outside so it doesn't even hit the window, because otherwise you draw your curtain to just let all the heat in. So she said, her neighbourhood, you have to be careful what it looks like. even mine at the front, I suppose it can't look too bad, but you can just neatly put a sheet over the door and close the door. Anyway, that was kind of interesting. And then I drove home, and it was quite late. It was like about, I don't know, 8:30, 8:45 maybe. Football was going to kick off at 9:30 the next game, Germany and is it Paraguay? I don't know. Anyway, I've just been listening to it. It's obviously not that exciting. It's 0-0 at nearly half time, and yeah, then there was a sign saying road ahead closed, and I thought, okay, well, I'll work it out when I get there. But it already had diversion signs up. I just ignored it and drove there. And yeah, the road was signed somewhere in closed somewhere in Haddiscoe, I think, where there's a water purification thing. There was a little lay-by, and I pulled over, and really I should have pulled into the lay-by, not just to turn around, but paused, looked at Google, see if Google didn't tell me where it was, then it wouldn't know, report it, look at Waze, because Waze sometimes is better. Anyway, I didn't do any of that. I just headed off, and then of course everyone thinks I know where I'm going, and I kept missing the turnings because I was too late. I was following Google, but anyway, then I ended up pulling over because there's a lot of animals and birds, and I wanted to drive slowly. Quite a few rats and mice, scurrying across the road. So I pulled over to let this truck go past, but the man paused and he said, "Oh, can you help me? I'm trying to get back to Yarmouth. I thought you knew a way." So then I looked at my thing. I didn't realise then that Google was just taking me back to the same place, and I just thought, well, okay, I'll do it. So I just said confidently, yeah, okay, follow me, and just headed off. And then after a little while, I was like, what the hell am I doing? It's getting dark. I'm nearly running out of petrol. I'm really, really nearly running out of petrol. I was thinking, well, I'm working from home the rest of the week. I can just sit there and I'll get some petrol at some point. Anyway, driving, and then I'd go down these little roads, and it was kind of rallying, and I was driving quite fast, and I remembered how you drive over in a low car. It was not low like sporty, just low as in not a high car. You make sure you put one wheel up on the high bit in the middle, and so that your car exhaust isn't getting bumped. So I was trying to follow all of that. I was still driving faster than I normally would. I had this sense of, I'm going to help somebody, and he seemed nice, and nothing wrong, I didn't I didn't get any bad vibes or anything, but you can't always trust vibes, and I think I'd had this real serious conversation about safety the other day with John, and he said, you should always drive with your doors locked, and he said, I'll get you some pepper spray, and I said, it's illegal, I think, but he said, I'll try and find you something that's legal to carry, and anyway, I thought, yeah, okay. So I just ended up, it wasn't even that conscious, but I did end up just speeding up, and then I ended up losing him. And to be honest, I just ended up going back in the same place anyway, and then I had to go back, follow all the signs. And yeah, there's no easy way. It just took me all the way back into Norwich, like the 146 bit, and then, out on out on the Yarmouth Road again, as if you'd come out of Norwich. So it's now 22:18, my clock is slow, so it was gone 20 past 10. I got up at 7. I worked solid at home from 9 till 11 on the computer, really doing a lot of jobs. Somebody wanted us to come in. There's someone who works one day a week in the office there, and she likes us to go and say hello. But if I'd have gone in and said hello, I wouldn't have got all my work done, and there's nowhere comfortable for me to work. There's not a set up for me like I've got at home, no comfy chair or anything. And so it would have been okay if we'd been going into the middle of town to maybe see someone individually, but we weren't. All we were doing was going somewhere on the outskirts. So I just, I felt a bit bad, but then it's really not my responsibility or the person I was with doing the stuff with. We do go and see her sometimes, but it's really probably someone else's, we're not her managers, and no one else in the team does it. And it was I really had jobs to do that were important, so I got them all done this morning. But yeah, our team is very weird and dysfunctional all round, really, and God knows how we help anybody, but we do our best. And in spite of everything today, in spite of feeling like overwhelmed with what happens to people in their lives and overwhelmed with the system, and probably still did a little bit of good, even if it's just good in the moment, even if you're just treating someone like a human being and having a laugh, feeding back to them that you didn't find, they was worried that they're coming across as aggressive, feeding back that no, you weren't scared, no, you didn't find them aggressive, which was true, no, you just expressed yourself well, it gives people a bit of confidence, I suppose, that they can express themselves without everyone being frightened and have negative consequences. Oh, the moon is just coming up, it looks like a harvest moon, and it's not, it's a strawberry moon, isn't it, coming tomorrow. Well, it starts tonight, really goes on 3 days, doesn't it? So strawberry moon, God, that was the start of everything, really. John bought me Marina Abramovich Walk Through Walls. I have many starts of everything. John bought me Marina Abramovich Walk Through Walls for Christmas. I take a long time to take to things and a long time to start things if someone gives me a book, usually. So anyway, I read it, and I read it around the strawberry moon, and I remember having this breathless conversation with my friend Julie. I was standing by the Minster eating some chips and feeding pigeons, and she was going, what if for women, our time is later, earlier, me and her have both had kids, me and her, maybe speaking for us and perhaps women who've had kids, maybe for women it's, if you have kids, their time is later, you have the kids and that, and then you have your time later. And I'd really felt like, I wanted to do a Marina Abramovich, obviously not literally, and you have to be yourself and everyone else is taken, but just the fearless nature and the idea of you fucking hell, you can do everything, anything. And that really led me to do Chapel Roan and to do Velvet Underground, and now, we're doing Yoshimi. We stalled for a while, we were stuck, we needed help, and then we've had someone come along, arrive, Lois, and just come and help us. And John was saying, I was really worried, thinking we weren't going to be able to pull it off, and we wouldn't have been. And she brings an amp and a microphone, and I do mine, which is Summertime, and it just says I do it's like a poem, just spoken word, and so it's summertime, and I can understand if you still feel sad. It's summertime, and though it's hard to see its true possibilities, if you look inside, all you'll see, if you look inside, all you'll see is a self-reflected inner sadness. Look outside, I know that you'll recognise it's summertime. It took me quite a while to realise what that song was about, and then I know we had a microphone and amp, and it's just something about having a microphone, and I just did it. I'd already planned, because it's so short, I'd already planned to do repeated lines, and first of all I thought, well, perhaps I should ask Lois to do it, lay it out. She knows how a song is laid out in bars, and she said, just wing it. So she's just playing and backing me, and I'm just doing whatever I like. And last time I just repeated it a certain number of times, and this time I just went for it, and I just did it in my own way. Look outside, look outside, look outside, kind of like my Velvet Underground, I'll be your mirror, I'll be your mirror. And wow, I felt the emotion, and I could feel crying coming. And so where does that come from? It comes from some place that people access emotions when they do singing, or wasn't singing. And I thought, well, okay, well, I'm just amongst a few friends, I'll just follow it through. So I followed it through to kind of almost crying at the end. It was very strange. So Strawberry Moon is my time, I guess. And it's like, wow, 56, still finding all these new things, and I've no education in that, no arts education, no art school, no drama school, no nothing, just, volunteering, doing my own creative stuff, not having really much money for a long time when I was younger, not having loads of it now. Pretty much, I said to John, God, I could probably count on one hand the amount of plays I've seen, or the time I've been to a theatre, or just never done anything, never, it's just not my world. And felt it wasn't my world, but I just didn't, I didn't get that it's not about the world. It's not about all the trappings, and it's not about going to some art gallery and people going and maybe you think, you're not fancy enough to go, or it's got nothing to do with any of that. It's like your soul and yourself connecting with something and going, or just thinking, I just want to go and do this, and then you just do it. And the fact that I don't know anything kind of just means I can just get on with doing it without overthinking it, and just get an idea and just follow it through. So anyway, I can't remember what I was talking about that. Yeah, Strawberry Moon. Anyway, so now I'm driving on the Acle Strait, so I'm nearly home, and I feel a bit bad about the man, but I didn't know where I was going. The only thing I could have done that was helpful was go back to the place, follow the signs, just to explain and say that diversion signs, but I didn't even know if I was following the right ones, and maybe I wasn't, because one go one direction, don't they? Hopefully I was going to the right ones, because the road was closed. But anyway, often seems to happen to me that I drive home from my mum's or somewhere late, and I've done it back from Norwich before, and then the road is closed, and it's really hard to get home, and it's like, and I don't just know how to do it, but I do know that the 146 is a way, and I also know another way is sometimes when you're at the top of the Acle Strait, you have to miss that out. You can go through Caiston, and then an even more radical way, if you had to get to Norwich from Yarmouth, was to go through Beccles and stuff, or towards Beccles and Diss, not exactly sure. So yeah, it's actually was quite adventurous, it's quite exhilarating, kind of rally driving down this track. I hope the track, I hope my car is alright. I hope the man got home okay. But yeah, I can't really have a man following me in a truck when it's getting dark and I'm running out of petrol. Oh yeah, and so I've just followed the diversions. The diversions kind of take me back to the 146. So I got back on the 143 where there's the roundabout and it's got petrol. And it's got petrol and like a KFC and a McDonald's. I didn't have anything. No, I wouldn't have any of those things usually anywhere. I've never been in a KFC, and would only occasionally go to McDonald's to get something vegan. But I didn't even get anything from the garage, so it's been quite good. And and the petrol noise came on just as I was on the roundabout going into the garage, and that's happened to me before. Payday morning, the light comes on just as I pull up to the pump. So yeah, I don't think I've ever been as pleased, well I'm sure I have, just forgotten, but in recent times been as pleased to see a petrol station. Bloody hell. I thought I was going to have to ring up my husband and say, come and get me, or leave my car there and take me home and just dump the car and it's got no petrol or something. But yeah, once I got to that garage I was like, actually it wasn't that far away from anything. It just felt a bit scary. So yeah, quite an adventurous day. I'm going to put the football back on and see what happens with Germany and whoever they're playing. And I was a bit sad about Japan. I wish Japan well. However, it would have been awful for Brazil, who love football so much, to be knocked out at this early stage. So I think I'm glad what happened, really. Well, not glad for Japan, but glad for Brazil. Japan, better luck next time. And yeah, have I done anything to shake off work other than just layer on, trauma and illness stories and staff dynamics and staff personal problems, and then talking and people wanting to go through things with me, and then obviously have a nice time at my mum's. I feel like I need to lie down, but yeah, I'm gonna go home, have a cup of tea. I like to stay up late at the moment because it's hot upstairs, and I'm working from home, so tomorrow is kind of relatively easy, as much as you ever know. And yeah, I thought about work today because I'm really, really trying to like it, and I had this email, it had come through, a few days ago, and it was like, urgent action, blah, blah, blah. Can you give me information about this, that and the other? And I quickly realised it was just sent to the wrong Rachel, so I wrote back and just said, I'm just checking you don't want this, and I'll, you don't want it sent to me, and I'll delete it. And they're like, yeah, delete it, it's the wrong one. And but I thought, yeah, I don't get stuff like that so much, hardly. Urgent action, do this, or fill in this report, or this is due. So there's a lot to be thankful for. And I did really make the most of my weekend. There's a tiger suit drying in the hall. There's the kitchen, wherever. I've done my props. The look outside, lovely window full of brightness, and the sad words that people say, or you say to yourself to make yourself feel better when you're depressed, and the inner sadness, self-reflection, the inner turmoil, and you can't usually think yourself out of a depression, which someone had given me already that someone else had made, and I just realised that it was perfect. So yeah, and that my to-do list for my next day off work, which is Friday, is umbrella, finish this crazy umbrella, put some ribbons on a stick so we can wave sticks of ribbons around, and make bunny ears out of stuffed baby socks. It's like my idea, we'll see if it works. And I've got some butterfly decorations to finish off. So it was a bit more interesting than I thought. I can't really talk about work too much because you just got to respect people's privacy and everything, and you can't be using them as a story that starts off all bouncy and fun, and maybe silly, or people just talking about random things, and you kind of wonder, was it worth for everyone? You're driving over here to do this, and then it just became something else, and somebody said it's usually some devastating line, and I'll just say a bit of it because I think that's okay. I realised I hadn't been a child for a long time. It's like, what do we do with these feelings? But I guess I seem to get by. Okay, I'm back in Yarko. I'm in front of the town hall clock, and I just love this place so much, and I'm so glad to be here, and I'm always so happy when I get home. And I said to John, oh God, let's never move again, or if we have to move, we just stay in Yarmouth. And it was like, I knew the boat wasn't the thing. It was the thing for a while, but I knew living on a boat isn't enough for me to just live on a boat and embrace sweeping out the stove and emptying a toilet and washing stuff in a bucket. That's not interesting enough for my life. I have to be making stuff or doing something, and there's not enough room to really make things, but I did do loads of writing. But and before that, travelling, you'd think that would be the thing, like everyone, annoyed everybody going on about been to India and all of that. I thought that was the thing. We were like, something will come up, and anyway, this is what ended up. It all ended up here. I know you can never think things are cooked and you're done and you're cooked, and because I know I'm still developing, I'm still learning stuff about myself all the time, but I just think this environment is so important, and there's just something totally magical about this environment and the people, and I know just how nice everybody is. God, wow, that would have been awful if I'd hit a dead baby seagull. I don't know how I'd have survived. Baby seagull was just on the edge of the road. Okay. I think it will go off. I think the person after me is a taxi. I don't think they go around deliberately running off the seagulls. Okay. The one down our road has actually survived. 2 got squished, and 1 has survived, and they can actually fly now. So that's good. At Londis, that's a little bit where the radio always goes off. And night.
And get themselves into the last 16.
fucking hell, the seagull has been squashed. I just think all that effort of the parents to have the, you know, make the baby, lay the egg, nurture it on the roof, and then when it came down, kept it safe, and, you know, it was flying, you know, and it was keeping off the road, and you know, there was two that were much smaller. One was with that one, I think, in the same group, I think, and then one the other end, and I literally just walked in my house. It was on the road, and went and loaded up and walked back, and it had been squashed, and like they would have seen it. You can see them. I mean, yeah, I didn't see mine till the last minute tonight because, you know, it's just on the edge of the road, like right at the edge, and but yeah, I still see it, and I saw this one in the road. You know, I can see it as I'm going along. There's a thing in the road. It's like, yeah, you've got to wonder if some people, yeah, you got to wonder. But yeah, be a fucking psychopath to deliberately hurt animals. It's a very bad sign. Anyway, I'm really sad about that. The seagulls that are on the back of the house do better because it slopes down, and then it's a flat roof. So if they do fall off, because they try and then the seagulls stop them from going on the front part, as far as I can see. So, I mean, maybe my road, yeah, just needs to stop having seagulls. But it's such a shame, isn't it? Oh, okay, that's really, really bad. Okay, so every day has a lot of, I mean, obviously the saddest people are the parents of the seagull. I mean, no, it's horrible. There's all when that one got killed, the squawking. And then the body just lies on the road. Okay. All right. Night night.